Let me give you a quick rundown on T2 production. I'm going to start with acquisition of the blueprint copies. There are some blueprint originals being provided by CCP or have been provided by CCP in previous years, but they are very expensive. I'm talking about 300 bill, something around that number, and they are very, very rare. Therefore, it's uncommon that you will buy some or will be affording some. We're going to go the standard way. You're going to buy a blueprint original or straight a blueprint copy. Depending on the item, you might gonna only need a blueprint copy instead of blueprint original. For example, if you're gonna go for the copies of a capital ship, they are very expensive, or even a battleship. You will be paying for the item in billions of ISK. For example, the Advanced BPC on a BPO, the BPO costs about 1.8 billion, I believe, and the blueprint copy is only 15 mil. And it's a research one. And that one, if you're buying original, it's not a research one, although you can find a contracts also the blueprint originals being already researched. However, you will be paying for the privilege to buy them completely researched. The current region, let's go all regions, and we'll see. That's copies. See, there shouldn't be, yeah, here are the originals, and 5.75 bill for the original BPO. If you want to simply print it, it's up to you. So you're gonna save time researching that one, but you will paying on top of what you would do it yourself. When you have your blueprint original, you will need to copy that one. You need to move for the Citadel, which is able to copy blueprint originals. Go to facilities, go to copying, filter for copying, not fractions, copying, here we go. Go for the biggest bonuses and biggest size for the most part. That's an ad spell, or even Satio. Let's see, ad spell Satio, 20, I believe it's also, yeah, Satio. If Satio is upgraded, go for Satio. If Satio is not upgraded, go for ad spell, depending what's available in your region and what you have access for. It's always the same. The smallest red bar indicating the industry index in a given system, and the biggest bonuses for the given job you want to run, that one. When you bring it there, go for plug it in industry window. So move it to the station, plug it in an industry window, and click on run copy. It's going to take some time. The job cost, total job cost, is depending on the system industry index, but also depending on the blueprint original cost. And by cost, I mean unresearched cost, not the research one cost. So research being done on the BPO doesn't affect the copying time, and it doesn't affect the price itself in the end if you're copying that one. When you have your blueprint copy, you will need to bring it to another station, and that's one for invention. So again, you will need to switch for invention, filter that one, and go for the biggest bonuses and the tiniest amount of industry index. It made the invention cost might be not that expensive to plug it in. However, it's going to stack up if you're doing a lot of inventions and eventually you're saving ISK. So it might be only like a $500,000 difference between like plus 10 and 2.5, and like 10% industry index in a system and 2.5% industry index in the system. However, it's going to stack up real quick. When you plug it in, you will need data cores, and you will need decryptors. The decryptors are optional, but I want to demonstrate on capital blueprints that you will need for that time decryptors, and in this case, it's absolutely utterly necessary. So, how do you acquire the data cores? You can buy them in high secret trade hubs. You can buy them from the contracts locally. You can buy them even from the local markets, trade hubs in the region, if people are going to see them. or you're paying surplus in comparison to JITA, and not all things are available. The same goes for the data cores. You can buy them from trade-ups, contracts, or locally from local trade-ups. However, data cores can be also found passively if you have access for R&D level 3 and above, agents in the high sec and low sec. If you run missions for them, you will be acquiring passively data cores. So it's kind of do a single job and it will generate data cores from there on with a constant income like, I don't know, 10 or 20 per day or something, but it will stack up. Whatever. And the cost for this job run to have a chance on a T2 blueprint with current setup, the Providence blueprint copy and current data cores is 25 mil. So this blueprint costs 15 mil, this data cores can cost 10 mil. At least it's a basic calculation. And it gives you about 25% chance to get a blueprint, the ARC blueprint with only a single run. So for a guaranteed blueprint copy with 100%, so for the 100% chance, you will need 4 those jobs on average to get a blueprint copy. We can improve our chances if we're gonna add a decryptor. So in my case, it's optimized attainment decryptor, and it will improve my or yours probability multiplier and change some stats like the ME and also the runs, how many runs per copy you can do. The cost for this decryptor is about 4 mil, so in total it costs only 29 million ISK for the full job to have a close to 50% chance for blueprint copy with 3 runs. So if you do the calculation, you will need about 58 mil to have close to 100% chance on a blueprint copy on average if you do it yourself. Well, if you don't plug in the decryptor, you will need 4 times the amount of ISK to have less run but the same blueprint, which means 25 times 4 for 100% chance, 100 mil. So you will save money in this case if you do it with a decryptor. The T2 production is pretty bright. I want to show you a RIX production in this current case. Small core defense field, small core defense field, extender 1. And we're gonna go for the copy, industry, and invention. We're gonna unplug the decryptor. So for this run, you will need about 200K. You will need obviously the blueprint original because they're cheap for the rigs or discretely cheap. It has a chance of 49 or close to 50% to get a single ring BPC with a single run. So like 400K will have a 100% chance or close to 100% chance to have a single BPC. If you add a decryptor, in my case, I augmented decryptor, it will reduce my chances from 50% to 30%, but it will add 9 additional runs per BPC, which means I would require about 3.5 times more of the same input. So currently it is how much? 1.2 mil, let's say 1.25 mil. 1.5 mil times 2.5, not 3.5, not 2.5, 3.5. And you will have you need 5 mil to have a chance, 100% chance on a 10 watt BPC on average with 10 watts. So divide for 10 and divide for 10 was again 1.25 times 3.5 and divide to 10. You will have pretty much this close to the same amount of time, same amount of things, but it will save you a couple of the slots if you build them, and it's just for convenience. But this augmented decrypto makes sense in this case. What else do you need to think of? You need to think of blueprint copies or items which have selective product. For example, recon ships. Let's see, arbitrator is such a thing. Bomber is such a thing. Clocking device is such a thing. The same thing goes for the free production, etc., etc. So let's plug it in. Arbitrator, and we need a copy of that one, view industry, and yeah, here we go. You can select what item you can produce when you plug it in. There are two different ships. One is the Curse and one is the Pilgrim, all based off the same model of the ship. Therefore, you can select what you're going to produce. Clocking devices. Prototype, clocking device. Here we go. Go for the copy, go for the industry, invention. You can choose from improved clocking device tech 2 and cardless clocking device tech 2. So just pay attention to that one. However, copying is not always straightforward. In case of a clocking devices, you will need a couple of items and skills to run the copying. Usually you don't need skills for do copying, but this one is kind of specific. You will need data sheets, you will need skills, hydromagnetic, graviton, and quantum physics to do the copying. If you don't have those 3 items and skills, you won't be able to copy that item. Same goes, for example, for mobile warp disruptors. Let's see, mobile warp disruptor, large or small, doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same. So you need data sheets, and you will need skills to do copying. Even if you have blueprint original, if you don't have skills, if you don't have data sheets, you won't be able to run a copy. So let's go to production itself. And first thing you will need to do is to find a station which you can produce on. Usually switch to facilities, go to manufacturing, and filter for manufacturing, and specifically filter for industry index and the biggest bonuses like every single other station. Let's see, that one doesn't have any rigs, you don't see anything here, you have the structure bonus and that's it. These are the NPC stations, they do not have any bonuses whatsoever and they are not upgradable, and pretty much nobody gonna produce here unless it's like high sec or low sec, and even then if you have access to station that you're on good terms with the station in owner, you should be producing on citadels. Let's see, AV, it has already, it's rigged, 20% structure bonus. I believe it's the smaller one, it's an add spell, it's a smaller structure. So if you die, you will be choosing add spell. It doesn't give you the biggest bonuses, but it's already solid. If you want to have bigger bonuses, go for Sotios. So Sotio have a 30% bonus from the structure, and if it has rigs, even better. Let's speak about production costs. It's always production costs depending on the system you're going to produce in. Switch from there. And let's go for the add spell. It's 846,000. Let's try another station. So usual NPC station 888, which is more time, but pretty much the same ISK. Pretty much nobody's doing industry over there. And let's see, Sotio. So it costs like twice the amount of ISK. The industry is slightly higher than there, but the production time is 26 minutes. Let's see, Serpentis, Acorn, which one? Retaro, 31. Let's go for the ad spell, 28. So the Sotio is the fastest one to produce, but since the industry index higher, you're paying slightly more. So depending how high you're gonna go in production and what size is your production is, like small size, big stuff. If you're going big stuff or huge amounts, I would suggest paying more and building faster that way. But it's completely up to you. Do the calculation, run your numbers, whatever you prefer, how you prefer. You make it at that point. Skills. Let's go quick over skills. And we're gonna go for copies. I'm gonna choose a drone damage. I'm getting distracted by the markets over there. No, not the big. So here we go. Drone damage, amplifier tech 2. So the usual picture for drone damage amplifier tech 2s are you will need to build or buy drone damage amplifier tech 1. I suggest you're gonna build them instead of buying. The build cost of that one is 72k about, and if you buy them, come on, here we go, 165k. So it's already twice the cost if you're going to buy them from the market, and I do not recommend to buy them off the market. I suggest to build them yourself if you can, and it's pretty easy to build the one stuff if you got skills for, and subcapital stuff is very easy to build. That one you will need to buy the BPO for. So for the RAMs, T1 RAMs, more fights. Every stick to production need more fights. So mine those or buy those of somebody. Advanced components, and those are using the stage 2 reactions. You can buy those, but you can also react yourself and saving that way money, depending how much of a job you want to do in if and where you're gonna save. Then you will need PI, and PI you can produce your own PI, but you can also buy it from the market, which I do not recommend, only in small, very tiny quantities if you're lacking something. Otherwise, go through contracts and look for JITA buy and JITA buy price and JITA split, JITA buy value and JITA split. Then you're gonna save money, and the cheaper you produce, the more revenue you have at the end. Although the market prices, the market regulates itself, but the market is kind of locked on that item. You will see it doesn't really spikes. It's pretty much constant and not a huge margin. So you do money, you do ISK when you're building stuff and not when you have built the stuff and trying to sell it one. So the biggest ISK is between the input and the output, where you can save money and be profitable. Stations, I was talking about skills. So skills for building stuff. The time is depending on a couple of skills. So blueprint, depending on ETE of the blueprint, you will, especially if you're using the decryptor, you will it will switch the not switch, but it will have different in EONTE output if you use a decryptor in a blueprint to invent it. So it might gonna save you time. It might take more time to build the stuff. Skills and implants can influence the production time and start with the structure and structure bonuses. Obviously, the bigger structure is, the faster you produce. What else? The total job cost again is the structure rigged? It's the question, and also how high is the industry in a given system. That's what you would need to look on. It's the skills to build the item itself. And it's specific for every single item and chip you build, manufacture. Basic one like Industry 5, Science 5 are required, but then you have specific skills, specific for the items, graviton physics, electron engineering. But if you're building rigs, there are rig skills, and for example, let's go to core defense field extender, and I hope I have one or two. Yeah, let's go capital core defense field 35 something. So you will need industry, into hydromagnetic physics, you will need quantum physics, but you need rigging skills in order to build that item. So, and rigging, I can't remember, did I show you rigging small core defense field extender? Yes, I did. Well, we're gonna skip that one. So let's go for another. You're building, let's say, deep space transporter. What is a deep space transporter? It's a T2 holder with our core devices. You will need Industry 5. You will need advanced ship constructions. 1, molecular engineering and Kadai starship engineering. Those skills influence also the chance to, when you are inventing this blueprint. So let's go for the can I where is this industry and view and market, not the market. Got it. Yeah, here we go. Go to copying, view and industry, and so for blueprints, to produce your own blueprint to 2 copies. You won't need a researched BPO. The BPO might be completely blank. Also, the BPC you're using doesn't matter at the end. So T1 BPC doesn't matter if it's research one or not, because as soon as you plug it in, the result will be usually in E2 to E4, but it can differ with different decryptors. So decryptors take a big role what you're gonna get. The skills, again, for building the stuff are those ones for every single item, and the chances are depending on skill level. So you can increase your chances to get the T2 BPC out of T1 BPC via inventing by skills, and those skills are specific for the given blueprint, the given item you produce. And also, those skills are specific for factions. But the same goes for every meta production. And by meta, I mean storyline production, and also for the T3D, T3C production, and Tier 2 production. Skill-wise, you will find those skills under science. Pretty much, I would recommend at some point buying all of that left tab skills. Methodology is not needed, it's only for copying and research. But every single one of them will be in some case, in some case needed, except subsystem technologies and core subsystem technology, whatever. Those are needed for T3C production. Then couple of those like nanite engineering, nuclear physics, plasma physics, quantum physics, research, rocket science, scientific research, and sleeper. I don't believe that sleeper encryption methods are needed for Tier 2 production. But if you have it, just buy it. It doesn't that expensive, 10,000 ISK. However, those rocket science and quantum physics, those skills, the usual ones like 15 mil or 10 mil, yeah, skill book. The yin-yang technology is needed, and Talukan, Takmal, Sleeper, those 3 or 4 are needed for storyline modules. The upwell is needed for upwell production, but also for T2 upwell production. There are T2 ships in an upwell ship line, and you will need that skill. So buy it upfront, have it, and go from that one. Skill time, I do not have every single skill as you have seen on level 5 in science. So my chances to get a BPC is kind of okayish, I guess. But then again, a couple of skills I need to be very high to build stuff. Like Kandari Starship Engineering level 5 would require to build T3D and T3Cs and subsystem is level 4 only. But then the T1 ships, to build those on the T1 level is required, but the chances to get those stock, for example, BPC or Flycatcher, is based on the Skandaya Starship Engineering skill level itself. The higher skill level, the more chances you have to get a BPC. And I would suggest you could skill it up as high as possible. It takes a quite time. Like you will need about 25 days to get to level 5 on every single skill of the usual ones for T2 production. So start slowly, build it up at least to level 4, and then you can specialize yourself and saving is via inventing items. What else? Yeah, moving stations. It's also kind of important thing. If you move your station, and you will need to move station, for example, I'm living from 15U system. And let's see where it is. I can't recall. Here we are. But the bonuses are the same. There are one station which is currently being new and has lower system cost index. This is CL-B-UB-WB. Same bonuses, but system cost index is lower. So production there will be cheaper, at least right now. The reason is I moved to the current station when the index here was lower, and the station maybe have been upgraded or put on online a couple of months later. Therefore, I'm currently not willing to move my stuff since it's a lot to move. So you have to decide when you have to decide where you're gonna put your production line. Well, that's pretty much where you're being set. But you can move it if you have your means and your creation. If you're doing a lot of production, I would suggest to move because you will save ISK that one. Thank you for listening. Go out there and make profit.